like to say about mission partnership that speak to the power of what it means to be a church and not just congregations, and what that says about us in terms of being people of faith. So when I came 9 years ago, I knew a little bit about Zion. I heard, that Pastor John. I knew that back then, the relationship with the congregation had been at least 10 years prior to me coming. So we're talking about a probably 25-year relationship with Redeemer. So, and on Sunday mornings, we worship about 90 people. But during the week, there's about 400 people that gather for cookouts and for after-school programs and all those ways that people experience the church. They might not be going up to the communion rail, but they experience the church in relationship and how we make a difference and living out our faith and inviting other people to be a part of that expression and that witness. It's a phenomenal ministry, and it couldn't happen without mission partnerships. Redeemer isn't just a congregation; we're a church, and it's kind of it's a relationship that has a transformative power by the way that all of that. There are other activities throughout the course of the week, and then not to still near loose thunder. Then there's a wonderful thing called the living room that happens, through Redeemer Center for Life. And it's as many as 25 people, African American and African, talking about how do we get along together? What's the difference between Africans challenging African Americans? Why don't you have more jobs? Why, all that kind of stuff about victimization. And then for Africans, you will see that they don't carry a lot of the baggage that African Americans have in terms of coming through slavery or the ways that we've experienced discrimination. But the important thing about that is being able to have a dialogue and a safe place to have that conversation. The resources that come to them for mission partners are really enabling us to go beyond ourselves. Now, beyond that, wonderful signs of what you do and what the partnership does. There were some real challenges for me when I came to Redeemer around its facility, and I never imagined that when I came to worship 35 people, and there's no way that I could imagine, or that I did imagine, that someday we'd have a capital. And it's obvious that our stairway is falling apart. So that's not in our plan at all, and it starts. So Rick said, well, there's somebody from Buffalo. I didn't know that they were members of Zion at the time. To come and look at least give us an idea what it might cost. And so we had two estimates, and because of the relationship with Zion and the trust, we decided to go with some company called Schmidt. That idea of partnership and relationship all come together. So I feel like for more than 25 years before I ever came to Redeemer, people have been pounding that drum about relationship, about partnership, and it's become a powerful vision of the church. And it's not just a vision that is for North Minneapolis. It becomes a vision about what's possible that other people hear about. Beyond even Minneapolis, pays, and for 7 years, it's really paid for a position. That's about $40,000. It's paid for that. That's a position who does housing with Redeemer Center for Life. That's by far the largest. Then the next largest is maybe 15,000. And the rest of them are more, they might be $1,000, $2,000, but they'll help with the after-school program. And because there's only so much relational time you can do it and manage. So most of that really has wound up being like the Christmas store. People come and it's a great celebration where we buy gifts, and you'll do that. Mission partners will collect gifts prior to Christmas, and then we go and we have this elaborate store where children pay 25 cents per gift. They get 4 gifts for their family, not for themselves, but for their family. And then they go and they shop in exchange for that 25 cents. And then we have volunteers that rap with them, and then there's a program of singing and all of that. So that kind of event and the block party, those are times when we all come together and the relationship is crystallized and everybody gets to experience the success. We love the fact that when people from a Zion or suburban congregation can come to a congregation like Redeemer and be around people that they're not commonly around. So to be able to be in a relationship with African Americans and people who are very much not their common experience with people. So we love that that opportunity, and we love it when people who come from those congregations experience what it's like to pass the peace for 15 minutes and be confronted with, that piece of do I move out of my pews? And then they actually come back and they would say, well, that was kind of neat. So we love that. And the other thing that I'd say we love in terms of mission partnership is that we love when people come and worship with us. We love that sense of knowing that we're connected to a larger church. So, and especially, I'd say, our older members. So, in a way, some ways it feels like they're being remembered when other people from Lutheran churches come and worship with us. And it also feels like we love it when people come from our partner congregations and celebrate who we are.
We had a good mix. I mean, we had, this past summer, we had somebody from the 16-plex next door that doesn't necessarily worship with us on Sunday, gather a group of people and have a cookout for the neighborhood every Thursday. And that was all on them, and there were some students at the University of Minnesota, and their first experience with us. And I would say there's probably a good mix, probably more people, a lot of people from outside the congregation that, haven't really figured out how to do church or how we do church. Church sometimes has hurt people, so they get a little, well, I'll get involved this way because then I don't have to go into the church. But it's all relational, and as you build those relationships, they will come in and be part of, like one of the members of the 16 church joined the church last week. Just through, being, I don't think she was a regular attendee at services. It was through those outside activities that she could get involved.
I'd say our membership over the last 9 years has more than tripled, and the majority of the people come regularly, consistently. But Redeemers at contexts where being Lutheran is not, isn't a real strong draw. And there will be people who will come and say something like, when they're introduced, they'll say, and we're Baptists. And what they're kind of saying by that is, don't try to convert us. And so it's kind of, lay back, give them a chance to experience that we're Christians. And then kind of reinterpreting or helping the people to see that being Lutheran doesn't mean being white, or that you have to pretend or act like you're white. And so there's a place of providing a place for people to be comfortable with who they are, that we accept them for who they are. Greatest catalyst in our growth has been that there are people who have graduated from St. Louis College, taught at Lutheran colleges, but they've lived in another country, and they come back, and they're not comfortable in Northfield anymore. They want to be in a congregation that looks more like the rest of the world, and Redeemer is a really kind of inviting, comfortable place for them to experience that church. And it's the same thing for people who are coming out of treatment, that also feel like they don't have to be guarded about the fact that they have that vulnerability.